Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're doing a top 10. The topic of the top 10 WWE Draft Picks for 2023. Now this isn't necessarily who I think is going to go first, because obviously if whoever gets first pick, they're going to pick Roman Reigns. This is 10 people I think should be moved in the draft that need to either help the show they're being moved to or help their career with a restart or a revitalization. I'm going to do 5 each from SmackDown and Raw, so technically it's going to be 2 top 5s in my opinion. The way I'm looking at it, this is going to be ranked by how much it's going to help the wrestler and how much it's going to help the show. All that being said, let's jump right in. We're going to start on the Raw brand. Number 5, Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans has had more stops and starts and changes and twists and character tweaks to her career than almost anybody I could think of in a similar amount of time. The sad part about it is I think she's someone that really connects, whether it be as a face, as we've seen with the sympathetic hype videos or promo videos they were running before, or as a heel where she could be a total jerk and the fans buy into it. I'd love to see her come to Raw and be given a direction. I think she would fit perfectly on the brand. Give her something and stick with it, and stick with it for a solid year. Whether it fails or succeeds, see it through. Don't make a change. Basically look at this as your last chance to make something of Lacey Evans, and I think you could definitely do it. I think it would definitely help her. I think it would help the Raw brand. They would get more of a character, which I think Raw is more of a character-driven show, where SmackDown is more of a wrestling-driven show. And yes, I know there's characters on both, and yes, I know there's great wrestlers on both. But that's how I'm looking at it. That's why I think she would make a great pick up for Raw. Now, our number 5 on the SmackDown side, Piper Niven. Looking at the two rosters, the one glaring difference that I saw was that SmackDown didn't have a lot of credible contenders for the Women's Championship, currently held by Rhea Ripley. And this is where I think someone like Piper Niven could get a shot in the arm, a boost in popularity. She doesn't necessarily have to beat Rhea for the Women's Championship, but she could be someone that through the summer, through SummerSlam, has a solid feud with her, has a solid interactions with her, thus improving Piper's stock, as well as giving Rhea Ripley someone where she's not bigger than the person, so there's a little bit of a threat based on the size of the two. I'd absolutely love to see the matches they put on. I think it would be a great pickup for both Piper and SmackDown to have that happen. Now, our number 4 for the Raw brand, LA Knight. Yeah, dummy. Look, LA Knight has got over on his own. The fans have gravitated to him, and he's not really been given much to work with. I think if you take LA Knight, put him on Raw, start a feud with Austin Theory, have him to the point where he's going to beat Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship, give the fans something that they can believe in and get behind, have him feud with guys like Seth Rollins, which I think would be a fantastic feud as well. Just give him something, reward him for what he's been able to do on his own. In my opinion, as long as Roman Reigns is champion and is on SmackDown, and as long as Gunther is Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown, I think that's the ceiling for LA Knight. I don't think he's ever going to beat either of those two. Whereas on Raw, I think we could give him a solid U.S. Championship run and then see, can we build him up to be a world champion? I think this would be a perfect fit for him, hence why I put him on my list. Now, our number 4 for the SmackDown side. We just talked about SmackDown needing women. Here's another help, bringing up a tag team from NXT, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. I love this team. I love Carter and Chance. I think they're absolutely great wrestlers. They have a fun, electric, vibrant style. They're a team that all the fans could get behind. In a world where the women's tag division is basically thought of as an afterthought, it would be nice to see a team that's been a team for a solid amount of time get called up, get that opportunity, inject new blood into the division, inject new blood into the competition. I think these guys would be awesome on the show. I'd love to see them out there. I think they would make great opponents for Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. It would just be fun to see them back on TV in an important role. Now, going from that, our number 3 on the Raw side, Karrion Kross. Much like I said with Lacey Evans, there's been a lot of start and stop with Karrion Kross. He got fired. He got the gladiator gimmick when he was initially called up. He was brought into SmackDown and seemingly was going to be in the main event picture, but cooled off very severely since then. I think the presentation of Karrion Kross more fits with what they present Raw to be than it does on SmackDown. I definitely think he's a guy who has not reached his potential in the WWE. And with the fact that Raw has 3 hours, you could give him his full entrance. You could give him the spookiness. You could give him a little bit more of a backstory. Do we know what he is now? Is he a hitman? Is he a supernatural power? Is he some weird cult member? All these things are possible. They really haven't fleshed it out. I think if he was given the time on Raw, he'd have the opportunity to flesh out the character and make a better run of it, make improvements to it, and possibly work his way up to the main event picture, which I think he could get there. There's something about Karrion Kross that really draws people into it. I'd definitely love to see him get a serious chance to take a run at it. This is why I think he'd be best to be drafted over to Raw. Going from that, our number 3 on the SmackDown side, Io Sky. They're already teasing tension between Damage Control. What better way to do that than to break the team up altogether? Have Io Sky split from her partners where she could go over to SmackDown and, much like I said with Piper Niven, help flesh out that women's division, give them another really solid wrestler, another woman that could really be a contender for Rhea Ripley. Just think of the matches her and Rhea Ripley could have with each other on the SmackDown brand. She's an absolutely fantastic wrestler, and as much as I like what they've been doing with Damage Control, it's run its course. Let her move on, let her go here, let her become something even bigger than she was with Damage Control. I think it'd be absolutely awesome. It would definitely help both parties. Now going from that, our number 2 on the Raw side. Call up Gigi Dolin. I know we're in the middle of a Gigi Dolin-JC Jane feud in NXT, but it's not like they haven't done call-ups in the middle of feuds. They could easily have a blow-off at some point after the call-up, or even bring JC Jane up with her. With the amount of women I'm moving over to SmackDown, it wouldn't hurt to replenish a little bit of the women on Raw. You know, losing Piper Niven, losing Io Sky, replacing them with someone like Gigi Dolin, who again, I think her character would fit and would get the time on Raw, where she could absolutely prove that she's a star. I personally think she's one of the best women wrestlers in the world. She's someone that I'm highly entertained on every level about. I like her wrestling. I like her promos. I think she's a beautiful woman. I like the style. I like her ring gear. I like her character. Everything about Gigi Dolin to me screams star. I think she's someone that they need to bring up as quickly as possible and bank on her and shoot her up to the moon. Again, she'd make a great opponent for a Bianca Belair or even a Bayley, depending on the route they want to go with the characters. I think it would be an awesome call-up, and I think she'd be a great fit on the Raw roster. Now, going from that, our number 2 on the SmackDown side, Montez Ford. Look, we all know it's going to happen at some point. The Street Profits are going to break up. It has to happen. They've done everything they could do as a team. It's time to break them apart. Everybody can see that Montez Ford is a future superstar. I think Angelo Dawkins as well has the capability to be there. I think the longer you keep the two together, the more Dawkins is going to be looked at as an afterthought, which is unfair to Dawkins. Because to me, I think Angelo Dawkins is fantastic as well. I know everybody talks about Ford and how Ford should be the guy, and I'm talking about him right now. And I do think he can be the guy. I think you get him over to SmackDown, you immediately put him into something against the Sheamus, or into the Bloodline mix, or even going up against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, or you could have him win the King of the Ring. I think the time has come. Time to split Montez and Angelo up. Time to split the Street Profits. Let's give them both a run. Montez Ford's going to shoot to the roof immediately. I think Angelo Dawkins would be more of a slow burn. But again, like I said, the longer they're together, the more Dawkins is going to look like the Jannetty. Let's split them up now while you still have some equity in both. Now, before we get to our number 1s, on my top 10s, we do a thing called Best of the Rest, basically things that were considered but didn't make the list. I'm going to give you one name for each show. For Raw, on the Best of the Rest, B-Fab. Of the rehires from Triple H, I think Hit Row is the one that's not delivered as much as they can. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that their leader, Swerve, is gone. I don't know if it's the fact that Top Dollar doesn't seem to be ready for the big time in-ring wise. But there is one person who continues to stand out in the group, no matter how bad the group does, and that's B-Fab. Now, do I think B-Fab is a great wrestler right now? I think she has some work to do herself, but there's a charisma about her and an innate likability about her that makes me think that she's the one out of the hit row that's left that's going to be the most successful. I think bringing her to Raw, like I said, we split Io Sky off from Damage Control. Maybe she's a replacement for Io Sky, or maybe you put her in a tag team with someone on Raw. Get her in there with a veteran women's wrestler where she could be trained on the job, where they could talk to each other and they could basically during the match coach her. And I think you're going to have something there. I think she's got the charisma, the personality. I just think she needs the everything else, and I think that's something that could be taught. Now, our best of the rest for the SmackDown roster, Indy Hartwell. Again, much like I said with Gigi Dolin, we know that Indy is prominently featured on NXT right now. She is a women's champion there, but I think it's about time we bring her up. Indy, to me, is someone who could do everything. She could be a serious wrestler, she could be a comedy wrestler, she could pull off a heel that you hate, she could pull up a face that you absolutely love. I love the fact that they finally gave her the NXT championship and they're giving her that shine. I think she's someone that you bring her to SmackDown, you slowly build her up. She's going to be someone that could contend at a WrestleMania, at a SummerSlam, at a Survivor Series to be a women's champ. Depending what you do with Candice LeRae, you can put her and Candice back as a team and have them take a run at the tag championships. I think she'd be absolutely perfect to come up to the main roster. I think they definitely should do that. With that being said, if you think I put someone too high, put someone too low, left someone off the list that you'd like to see move between the two, let me know in the comments. Hit me up down there. While you're there, smash that like button, share the video, subscribe. And if you see that button that says join, that's how you become a page member. I would definitely appreciate you taking a look, maybe become a member. With that being said, my number one pick for the WWF draft to move to Raw, Bron Breakker. And I know Bron still is a little bit green, he still has something to learn, but I think the faster we could get him in the mix, the faster we could get him up there wrestling guys like a Seth Rollins, like a Miz, get him in the mix with the Riddles of the world, the Sami Zayns and Kevin Owenses of the world. I think the faster we can do that, the faster he's going to be the breakout star that everybody believes he will be. I'd love to see him get called up. I'd put him in a feud with the Miz, someone that could teach him the psychology of the WWE. I think it'd be absolutely great. The quicker that we could get him up, the quicker we could get him in the main event, and we have a stud for the next decade. Now, going from that, our number one for SmackDown, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley has felt like a boat without a rudder for quite some time now. Not getting on WrestleMania, the Andre the Giant thing, that's all beneath him in my opinion. I think he could absolutely use a freshening up, some fresh opponents, fresh scenery, get him on SmackDown, have him go up against the likes of Sheamus and Gunther, Shinsuke Nakamura, have him mix it up with Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline, build him for a match, let's say for SummerSlam, against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that would be an absolute banger. There's more guys on the SmackDown roster that I would like to see him have matches with than there is on the Raw roster, mostly because a lot of the people I'd like to see him have matches with, he already has. But I'd love to see him and Gunther go at it. I'd love to see him and Sheamus go at it. Solo Sikoa, to me, they could do a full homage to when Lashley and Umaga fought each other and almost do a hold-for-hold, match-for-match recreation of that. Again, I think he needs freshening up, and I think the blue brand would be perfect for him. Just my opinion. With that being said, this is my opinion of the top 10 people I'd like to see move rosters. Not the top 10 I think that will be picked. Just the top 10 I think need to move the rosters. Let me know what you think. Who would you like to see change rosters? Who would you like to see get called up? Let me know down here in the comments. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat Top 10.